The movie that I chose to review for this assignment was Matewan, which was filmed in 1987. It told the story of the 1920s coal miners in the town of Matewan, West Virginia. They were employed by the Stone Mountain Coal Company. They were worked extremely hard with poor working conditions and attempted to form a union. They had a union man come into town who helped them to organize. The Stone Mountain Coal Company was not interested in them forming a union, and it led to significant conflicts and fighting that ended in a gun battle in the middle of town, which killed 7 of the company men and 2 of the coal miners, as well as the mayor of the community. I learned a great number of lessons from this movie, the most being that we are truly blessed in how we live today and the labor laws that we have. Our country has come a significant way in our labor laws and what is fair and what is safe. I also watched Hoffa prior to this movie, and the combination of the two really drove home the point to me of how many lives were lost in the battle for the labor laws that we currently have today. Some of the labor trends that were depicted in the movie included the fact that the company paid everyone in company script, not in real US dollars. This money could only be spent in the company store, and if anyone purchased anything or attempted to use the company script anywhere else, they would be fired. The people lived in company homes on company land and essentially were owned by the Stone Mountain Coal Company because they had no way to earn money that could be spent elsewhere to get themselves out of their current situation. A great deal of that has changed in this day and age. We no longer allow companies to pay in script or restrict where they are able to spend the money that they earned. However, there is still some situations where companies are providing housing. I live in a tourist community where there is a shortage of affordable housing, and often the major employers will provide housing for their employees that goes along with their job. If they lose their job, they lose their homes. The main grievances that the Matewan miners had against the Stone Mountain Coal Company revolved around safety and wages. The company wouldn't spray down the walls inside the mines, which led them to be very prone to fire if a spark was ignited in that area. They did not provide any of the safety equipment that we would think would be commonplace today. No respirators, no protective gear. The company also determined exactly what they were going to pay, and at one point in the movie reduced the price they were paying the workers to 90 cents a ton, while increasing the prices at the company store, making the workers' dismal situation even worse. Management did not handle these grievances at all in a positive fashion. They attempted to bring in Italian and Negro workers who initially were thought of to be scabs, but as time went on, they joined with the other workers to become a united front. Management itself made no attempt to fix these issues. They didn't care. They attempted to evict the miners from their property, which is what ultimately led to the gun battles and the death. Decidedly, this is not an appropriate way to handle labor relations. The union did do their best to represent their employees. They had a good union rep who worked with them, lived with them, helped the union provide the workers with what they could of their limited resources. But the management and the company in no way, shape, or form were interested in negotiating, so it was difficult for the union representative to do a good job for his union people. The unsafe labor practices that we saw in the film, again, were mostly major safety issues and the use of child labor. Unfortunately, at the time of this movie in the 1920s, these laws did not exist to provide safety and to prevent child labor. So while those would be considered unsafe labor practices today, at the time frame of this incident, there were no laws determining that those were indeed unsafe practices, and children were sent into the mines. Luckily, today, things have improved significantly. There's no longer child labor in those types of situations, and OSHA has increased the safety aspect of many of our jobs. There was no indication of arbitration depicted in this film either. Of course, without the management being willing to even negotiate with the miners, there was no way to bring in an arbiter. This decision and how to handle this, as I said, finally came down to literally a gun battle in the streets. This was not the end of the problems for the West Virginia coal miners. This was actually a triggering event that started more bloodshed and more battles, but thankfully, ultimately, has resolved in safer coal mining experiences with a strong union that still exists today and better wages for those same coal miners. Overall, I found the movie pretty distressing, but pretty educational.